Okay, we've got to talk about the UFO hearing in Mexico. This is huge news. I know a lot of you guys are really eager to talk about it and to hear my take on it and analysis of it. So let's get into it. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below. Okay, let's just get right to it. Okay, here's what Jaime Maussan had to say. I'm muting it because there is music playing. And here is the unveiling of the mummies. Now, of course, if you've studied ufology for a while, you'll be familiar with these mummies. They've been around for a while. They've been studied and bunked and debunked. And, and now they're being shown off at the UFO hearing in Mexico. I think that's really interesting that they would choose this as the evidence. I was really hoping for something new, but instead we get these old mummies. But maybe there has been new analysis done.
The alien bodies that we're seeing were actually recovered in a mine in Peru. They were found in 2017 between Palpa and Nazca. They are not a part of our evolutionary line, and they've been carbon dated to about 1,000 years old. The Mexican government says they are not mummies. The bodies are fully intact, and they have been thoroughly researched. The expansive research done by the government on the alien bodies included X-rays, digital tomography, carbon-14, forensic analysis, biological analysis, genetic analysis, biological computer analysis, analysis of metallic implants, spectrometry, histology, physical analysis, and more. With some very interesting organizations involved in the research, including Abraxas, Lockheed University, and Harrisburg University. And the Mexican government is saying that when they say fully intact, these bodies, they mean fully intact. The bodies are fully preserved, including all internal organs and all DNA that they have put through extreme analysis. They have literally all the information. We know what these extraterrestrials are made of. I wonder if we're in communication with them as well.
Okay, let's go to Reddit. A very helpful Redditor translated what the forensic specialist said about the bodies. It is an honor for me to present on such a high platform the results of my analyses derived from the study of the anatomy of these non-human bodies. As a forensic doctor in collaboration with the biologist Jose de la Cruz Rios, and based on the results of various scientific evidence, such as X-rays, computed tomography, three-dimensional reconstructions, macroscopic and microscopic analysis, histology, carbon-14, etc., I can affirm that these bodies are not related to human beings. For this purpose, I will start with a description of the images that we'll see next. They are bodies of approximately 60 centimeters long, covered by a white powder that, through electron microscopy, we identify as diatom powder, which allows the desiccation of the bodies as well as the absence of the generation of bacteria, fungi, and cadaveric fauna. The presence of this dust allows the perfect conservation by desiccation of these bodies, causing a natural conservation process over time, which we were able to calculate by applying the carbon-14 test, which indicated and dated an average of 1,000 years old. This makes the place where these bodies were found an ideal place for their conservation and preservation by whoever or those who deposited them at this site in Peru. Entering the topic of anatomy, we can see that they have a humanoid structure that consists of a head, trunk, abdomen, and limbs, which end in tridactyl hands and feet. The bone structure of the entire skeleton shows us perfect harmony and agreement between the joints. The final part of each bone fits perfectly with the bone that allows it, and the wear of these is also observed due to the movement of the specimen's own biomechanics, being very resistant bones, but very light, strong, but like those of the birds. The head is an element of particular interest since it is large in its proportions compared to the body. However, it is a pneumatized skull, that is, with spaces that allow it to be very light but rigid and resistant, with a large intracranial cavity, which evidence that it has. Yeah, the translation is a little wonky here, which evidence that it was a container for very large brain or neurological material. Likewise, we see that the spaces in the eye orbits are very large in size, which would allow a very wide stereoscopic vision for this specimen. It has very small nostrils and an oral cavity that, due to its jaw joint and absence of teeth, allows us to determine that its nutrition was by swallowing and not by chewing. Here is one of the most outstanding and relevant peculiarities: that they do not have carpal and tarsal bones. The phalanges are direct to the bones of the arm and forearm, in addition to ending in a kind of nail bed for the nail. In that observation of microscopes, we found fingerprints. This would be impossible to replicate. These fingerprints are of particular interest since most specimens on this planet have deep or circular footprints, and the fingerprints of these specimens are completely straight and horizontally linear. Another peculiarity is that some of these bodies have metal implants that are perfectly attached within the skin and towards the surface, making it a very impressive biofunctional fusion. These implants are the alloy of various metals, which among osmium and cadmium stand out, which are currently used for satellite telecommunications. Finally, I will point out the DNA analysis. After having been compared with more than 1 million registered species, we found that there is a significant difference between what is known in these bodies. These studies were carried out in various high-level institutions, both national and international, and the results gave evidence that 70% of the genetic material coincides with what is known, but there is a difference of 30%. What is the relevance of this? This would indicate that the difference found of more than 30% is something totally outside the parameter of what is expected, is foreign to what is described and known at this moment by human beings. In conclusion, and for all the above, we can say that these bodies are from a non-human species that has irrefutable differences with what is described in the biology and taxonomy of the Darwinian species evolution tree, without a common or traceable predecessor, or without a descent in evolution still described. I can affirm that these bodies are 100% real, organic and biological, that at the time they had life and are irrefutable evidence in themselves. We are facing the paradigm of describing a new species, or the opportunity to accept that there has been contact with other non-human beings that were drawn and pointed out in the past in various cultures throughout the world, such as Peru, Egypt, and Mexico, and that today we can accept their existence among and with us. Thank you very much. Now, not everybody is so excited about the results of this test. Here's an article from independent.co.uk. Alien corpses shown to Congress as UFO expert forced to testify under oath. Alleged non-human corpses have been displayed to Mexican politicians at the country's Congress. The two small alleged alien corpses retrieved from Cusco, Peru, were presented in windowed boxes in Mexico City on Wednesday, stirring excitement within the UFO conspiracy theorist community. The event was spearheaded by journalist and ufologist Jaime Maussan, who testified under oath that the mummified specimens are not part of our terrestrial evolution. The claims by the self-proclaimed ufologist have not been proven, and Mr. Maussan has previously been associated with claims of discoveries that have later been debunked. So there's a hit piece on the UFO hearing in Mexico, or at least those results. Yeah, like I say, guys, these mummies have been around. A lot of people have taken an interest in these mummies, and they're not alone. Here's an article on the Nazca mummies that some of you may be familiar with. Very interesting and possibly non-human. And of course, there's the, everything goes, it goes all the way back to the Nazca lines. There's various other mummies. This is one that has been debunked, although, I still have to wonder about that one. It looks so much like the elongated skull people. But yeah, so there's various mummies that people have found over the years south of the border. And the phenomenon seems to have had a very active presence among the indigenous peoples of America. The earliest ayahuasca trip that we know of happened over 2,000 years ago. That's right, I like ayahuasca. I think ayahuasca is the bridge to the beyond, or at least one bridge to the beyond, and that this was probably a technology or at least a resource or a tool given to us by beings from beyond, whether that's aliens or higher dimensional beings, I don't know. But my shaman gave the legend of this ayahuasca, this sacred plant medicine, being gifted to the indigenous people by the gods. And I have to wonder if that means, non-humans or higher beings of some sort. And this, has been around for quite a while. Analysis of hair from 22 mummies found in southern Peru has revealed the earliest known use of San Pedro cactus, a source of mescaline, and the psychoactive plants that make up the drug ayahuasca. The majority of the mummies were unearthed in Cahuchi, I'm not going to be able to say that, a religious center used by the Nazca people starting around 100 BC. Cocoa plants and whatever, I can't say that word, better known as the liana vine, are among the substances detected in the mummy's hair. The plants are not native to the region and were probably transported across the Andes Mountains. Researchers found that the drugs of choice changed over time. Ayahuasca and mescaline became less favored, and cocoa consumption became more common after the Wari Empire conquered Nazca around AD 750. But there you go, 100 BC, that's the earliest known ayahuasca trip. And if the local legends are right, that means that the phenomenon has been around in that area, working with the peoples of that region for at least 2,000 years. And we now know that there were cities in the Amazon way back when. And they are just now discovering these lost cities through LiDAR. LiDARing the Amazon jungle to discover these incredible lost cities. So there was a high civilization of some sort. They may or may not have been interacting with beings from beyond, and that some of those beings may have been living amongst the people, and they may well have been the Nazca mummies or the tridactyl mummies, the elongated skull people that I've talked about before, etc. There are various examples of possible non-humans or hybrids living amongst the people, the indigenous peoples of the Americas for thousands of years. So are these guys legit? Are these the real deal? Are we looking at an alien or maybe a hybrid right here? I don't know. The results are pretty good. It looks like a lot of work has been done on them, but I'm not like 100%. I'm not a scientist. My wife is a scientist. Maybe she needs to take a look at one of these guys. She does she's a geneticist. Does molecular biology. And but I don't know. I just don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. I just don't know, but I would not be surprised at all if this was indeed a non-human that we're looking at. Because like I say, the phenomenon has been around for a long time, interacting in a very overt way, seemingly, in that region, in a large area, but especially in, the South America. Of course, that wasn't the only thing to come out of the hearing. Mexico also released some really nice UFO footage. Check that out. It's pretty cool. Could that be a drone? I don't know. I think I can see the outline of a ship right there. And that's pretty cool. I don't think that's a drone. That looks like a truly anomalous object, if you ask me. Robert Salas is supporting this stuff. He says, look closely. The being was recovered near Nazca, Peru in 2017. It underwent multiple scientific analyses, including DNA, carbon-14, age testing, all showing this being was organic, not a member of any known species, and definitely non-human. Here is a replica that I received from Will Gallison. And somebody points out the last thing I heard was that the people who brought it all out were charged with disturbing the peace of the dead because it was all made out of bones and plaster. And indeed, that is one of the stories going around. Robert Sala says, you heard wrong. Check my Facebook page on details of DNA. Viable DNA was retrieved and compared with a very large database of different species. No match. Go to the Alien Project for more. And here is the Alien Project. And you can, I'll link to it and you can check it out. But people have been studying these mummies for a while. So to wrap it up, a lot of research has been done on these guys. They say there is DNA done. 30% of it is not known, which is really interesting. If this was made out of recovered, bodies, some sort of fabricated, conglomeration, kind of like the fairy thing that was going around. And at first I bought into. There was the fairy body thing that was going around, and that the scientists studied, and they couldn't make heads or tails of it. It looked like it was legit, but ultimately it turned out to be a conglomeration of different pieces of bodies. So a very clever hoax. So could this also be a clever hoax? Well, if it was a clever hoax, you wouldn't think that it would have that 30% of unknown DNA. So I am, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know what to make about this case. I think that it's relatively solid, but again, I want more scientists. I want, people like Gary Nolan, names that I trust, to analyze this stuff and see what they make of it. But either way, it's very compelling, and I do think that the phenomenon has had a heavy interest in the indigenous peoples of the Americas, going back a long ways. So if this turns out to be a non-human, I would not at all be surprised, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. If you wanted to share this video on social media, that would be super helpful and super groovy. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below. There's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.